Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. You know, some of you guys are pretty young. Some of you guys didn't get to enjoy the glory days of Tennessee football. We even talked about it last night. For me and Dauber, we were in high school when Tennessee won a national championship in football. And back at that time, I don't know that we really soaked it in. We really enjoyed it as much as we should. But now we sit here in 2024, year 4 of the Josh Heupel era, and it certainly feels like Tennessee football is back on the map. And we had these conversations in 2022. It felt like we were back, but you had an elite offense. Did you have that elite defense to pair with it? You know, last night we talked about the ESPN FPI index. Tennessee currently ranks 7th in the AP polls. They're ranked 5th in the ESPN Power Index. The chance to make the college football playoff. Before the season, it was at 36.9%. Now the ESPN FPI has Tennessee at a 65.3% chance of making the college football playoff, 9% chance of winning the SEC, 14% chance of making it to the national championship game, and 7% chance Tennessee goes and wins this national championship. You know, something I've talked a lot about, particularly coming off of that NC State game when everybody's talking about how elite Tennessee's defense is. If their offense shows up on the same day as their defense, there's not a team in the country that's going to want to see Tennessee across from them in that college football playoff bracket. And you look at, man, it's a 12-team playoff, so Tennessee doesn't have to roll the table. Tennessee doesn't have to go undefeated. Tennessee doesn't have to go win the SEC. They just have to show up when it matters, almost like March Madness in basketball. Do they really have a shot here? Do they really have a chance? Josh Pate had some interesting comments this week. We're going to get into those. We're going to break those down, but as always, I need you guys to do that YouTube stuff. Smash the thumbs up for me just below the video. It's quick. It's free. It's easy. It helps this channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Also, some of you guys are attacking the comment section. We love it. We appreciate it. It helps this channel. If you don't have a question or a comment about the video, just put a GBO in the chat. We would appreciate that. Also, if you're new here, welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. We're not experts here. We're not insiders. We're not media. We're not journalists. We're not reporters. We're not any of that stuff. This channel is built on the backs of the fans, for the fans, by the fans, the voice for the voiceless. We're different. We're unique. We bring opinions. You bring opinions. It's a community here. It ain't about me. It ain't about Coach Rice, Coach Jay, Dauber, the X Factor. It's about the community and a voice for the voiceless. If you like what we do, make sure you subscribe, click that bell for notifications. You're not going to miss out when we go live or when we drop a video. Next live stream is going to be tomorrow morning, Friday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern time. Me and Coach Jay going to get you guys ready for kickoff. We're also going to be live an hour before kickoff for a tailgate show, and I'm debating, should we do a watch party for the game Saturday night, or should we do our regular post-game shenanigans? We're going to get into it. We'll let you guys know. But let's jump into it. Let's talk about Josh Pate, what he had to say. You can see here the quote, "I've learned Tennessee is a national title contender." Josh Pate explains why. Let's take a listen.
As much as Oregon doesn't look like a national title contender, I've learned Tennessee's a national title contender. I went beyond SEC there. I went beyond just playoff. See, there's this tiered language that we use these days with an expanded playoff. And if you say someone's a playoff contender, that's a fancy way of saying they can make it, but they can't win it. No.
Big difference, right? There's a big difference than being in the top 12, getting an opportunity, getting a shot, being in the playoff, and being a true national title contender. And that's what Josh Pate is saying here. Tennessee's not just got a shot to make it. Tennessee's got a shot to go win it. Let's go win a national championship.
Now, Tennessee playing the kind of defense they're playing now, combined with just Josh Heupel, anytime he's got elite talent at quarterback, they can win it.
I think, again, that's a key here. Talking about the defense, we go back to 2022. Tennessee was ranked number 1 in the initial college football playoff poll that came out when they went to play Georgia. We all know how that ended. The wheels fell off against Georgia and South Carolina. But the problem with that was when the offense didn't show up, if the offense was off, if the offense wasn't clicking, you couldn't lean on your defense. You couldn't rely on your defense. And even we look at that NC State game and people want to talk about Nico and the 2 interceptions. Tennessee still went out and dominated that football team. 51-10 victory over a top 25 opponent. And I know people like to move the goalpost. Some people don't even know the definition of moving the goalpost when they try to use it back on me in the comment section, and it makes me laugh. But you guys, some of you continue to move the goalpost, and now all of a sudden NC State's not that good. Well, Iowa wasn't really that good. If you go beat Oklahoma, they're not as good as we thought. You never want to give this football team credit and talk about how they went out and they dominated a top 25 opponent on a day where Nico wasn't maybe at his A game. He wasn't at his A game, but he still completed 70% of his passes. This football team still ran for 250 yards, and they played elite defense. That's the difference. You can lean on this defense. You can lean on this ground game. And by the way, at any day, anytime, Nico can put this team on his back and come out and dominate and take over a football game. That's something that has been missing in the 2023 season. Let's hear more from Josh Pate.
They are a definite team in the mix, along with your Georgias and your Bamas and your Texases, Ohio States. They can win this thing. The difference is you will blindly buy into the notion that all the other ones will. I've got a solid portion of our audience. I go back and forth with you guys all the time who believe Tennessee just flat out can't do this anymore. I think it's just because of recency bias and you haven't seen them. If you're a 20-year-old viewer of the show, you haven't lived in a world where Tennessee's a national title contender. Well, you have now, because they are again. Just because they haven't in your lifetime doesn't mean they won't in your lifetime, maybe as soon as this year. So what did we always say? I'm going to talk about USC in a little while, but what have we always said with these coaches like Heupel? Man, if they can ever pair a pretty good to elite defense with what they do offensively, woo! Now, normally it doesn't happen because normally, stylistically, DNA-wise, you got to give something up to get something, but Tennessee's figured something out, and that travels. You know, they'll go to Oklahoma in a couple of weeks. Eventually, they'll go to Georgia. They didn't have a shot against Georgia last time they went down there. They'll have a shot now. They will have a shot because they got things that travel.
Defense. He's talking about elite defense, and I played the clip of Heupel. We'll go ahead and play it again.
Let me just say one more thing. The standard at Tennessee is to be elite on defense. This is the home of Reggie White, Al Wilson, Eric Berry.
Elite defense. Again, any week, any team, any opponent on the road in Neyland Stadium, this defense can take over a game. And we've talked about Tim Banks and what he's done at Tennessee, improving scoring defense year in and year out from 90th in 2021 after the mass exodus of players, people complaining about this defense. But when you look at the personnel and what Tim Banks had to work with, it all makes sense. And then he improves to 36th in 2022, 23rd in 2023. How good does the defense need to be so far in 2024? You're 23rd in the country in passing yards allowed, 128.5 a game. You're 11th in the country in rushing yards allowed, 56.5 yards per game on the ground allowed. 10th in scoring defense. You're giving up 6.5. Your defense is giving up 6.5 points per game. You've not given up a touchdown on defense since going back to the Vanderbilt game of last year. And, oh, by the way, we're scoring a little bit too. 60 points per game. They scored 50 plus in their first two games in the first time in school history. And that goes back to what we said about Nico and setting the record for most passing yards in a half. Guess what? This football program in its storied history has played some weak opponents in week 1 and week 2, but they've never scored 50 plus in those first 2 weeks. So you add that defense on top of an elite offense, and Tennessee is a true national championship contender. You know, we looked at the ESPN FPI last night. Kent State, 99% chance to win. But the one that's interesting to me is that Oklahoma game, because I felt like that was the one. That was the launching point. That's where Tennessee was going to have to go out and prove themselves, and we were going to know what they were made of. Now, some of you may trust the ESPN FPI. Some of you may not. I mean, I think AI is taking over the world. If you've never seen Terminator 2, I think we're going down a dark road. Wink, wink, nod, nod. That's a joke. But the ESPN FBI is pretty dang accurate, and you can see here in the article, if you go back to August, the FBI gave Tennessee a 40.1% chance to win. And then it jumped to 49.4% chance last week. So I'm saying, man, this thing looks like a coin toss. The FBI's got Tennessee right at 50%, but Vegas is not moving the number. Tennessee's still they're an underdog in that game. Now, the ESPN after week 2 bumps 66.6% chance of Tennessee winning this game. And oh, by the way, Vegas also took notice. Oklahoma opened as a 5-point favorite. That has now changed. Tennessee, 2.5-point favorite going into that Oklahoma game. They still got to go out and play football, right? That's the point. That's the reason why you play the games. But you are now in a good position to beat Oklahoma. Arkansas, 77%. This one's interesting. The Gators, Tennessee, almost a 90% favorite. That's a higher percentage than Tennessee has in the Vanderbilt game. The only two that the FBI doesn't give Tennessee the favorite is Alabama and Georgia. You can see Alabama there, 43.8%. I would not be surprised to see that change. Kentucky 92, Mississippi State 88, Georgia 30.8%. Of course, you can see there UTEP, Vanderbilt, Tennessee, the clear favorite. But I say all that to say this. Tennessee's got a very good shot of making the college football playoff, right? Very good shot. If you lose, you slip up and lose to Alabama, you slip up and lose to Georgia, you're more than likely in. And now we talk about that elite defense and that elite offense. And again, it's any given Saturday. These teams don't want to see Tennessee in that college football playoff because they know if they show up and they are who they are and they play elite defense and they play elite offense, complementary football, then Tennessee is going to be hard to beat in that college football playoff. What are your thoughts? Jump into the comment section. Let's talk about it. Josh Pate calls Tennessee a legitimate national championship contender. Also smash the thumbs up on the way out the door. I would appreciate that. Go check out the Talkin VAWLS merchandise. You can go to bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. Also, a quick shout out to the members of the channel. If you're not a member, you don't have a Power T beside your name, you like the videos, the contents, the live stream around here, think about hitting that join button. You can do it for as little as $1 per month. There are links in the description for all of that, for the merchandise, for the memberships. It's all in the description below. But that is going to do it for this one. This is the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name's Boogie Bentley. Go Big Orange.